Clemenceau, the French don't like the Treaty of Versailles. They're like, we went too easy on the Germans. I don't know how they could have gone any harder on the Germans.
They wanted to get rid of them forever.
Pretty much, they wanted to wipe Germany off the map. And so Clemenceau did not meet the demands of the French people. He's going to get kicked out. You're going to get another Frenchman. Yeah, thank you. Another Frenchman to continue these negotiations in Paris. Obviously, like a lot of things, you have like the politicians or like the top dogs. They like think they know what they're talking about, but they don't honestly know what they're talking about. And then you have the field marshal, who's probably he was in combat, he was in the war, he talks to regular people. His quote: "This is not peace, it is an armistice for 20 years." What's an armistice again? Yeah, it's a ceasefire. So there's no like treaty, there's no agreement to end, it's just a ceasefire. So he was very prophetic in his idea there. Wilson's going to come back to the United States after he creates the League of Nations. He's going to get voted out of office. Warren G. Harding is going to come into office. Eventually, under Harding's, basically Harding it's more of a political thing to be against the League of Nations because that was Wilson's thing. And so because he was against the League of Nations, Congress ends up passing this Knox-Porter resolution. What the Knox-Porter resolution does, it basically officially withdraws us from World War I and withdraws us from all of these peace treaties and agreements. So that is why we don't ratify a lot of these other treaties, because we were just like, hey, we're going to pass this resolution in Congress. Because remember, Congress is the one who has power to ratify treaties with other nations. And so the United States is going to kind of pull out of the Paris deliberating. In Western Europe, so Western Europe, like France, Germany, Spain, Portugal, Great Britain, Belgium, Denmark, most of Western Europe is going to remain similar to what it had looked like before 1914. There's only very few changes to those borders. France and Great Britain are going to be in that demilitarized zone, but Germany doesn't lose a lot on that side. However, Central and Eastern Europe is what's going to be changed the most. You're going to have new countries created. Poland now is a country. Austria and Hungary, they break up, so now they're Austria and Hungary. We have Czechoslovakia, which is going to go through its own problems later down the road. You have Lithuania and Latvia. They get added kind of up here with Estonia. And then you have Yugoslavia as well. And again, Yugoslavia and Czechoslovakia are going to end up going through their own problems down the road, but it's not due to World War I. So you can see the territorial changes between 1914 and 1920. So 1914, good thing you took the 1914 map quiz, because there are less countries to look at and memorize. There will not be any maps on the test. Again, remember, one of the main problems in not only the Balkans but in the Austrian-Hungarian Empire was ethnic groups. Again, people who have common culture, who have common languages.
Thank you for participating. We are now on to round 3 of our Monday morning fire drill. This round will be classes Pion through Wilson Fields. Miss Pion through Wilson Fields, please evacuate the building now. Pion through Wilson Fields.
And under the Treaty of Versailles, they had said that they were going to use self-determination to kind of create these new states, create these new countries. What is self-determination? Yeah, it's like the people decide. It's kind of like popular sovereignty from American history, where the people of a certain territory or a certain area are going to vote to kind of decide the issue. And so in this instance, you don't necessarily have, I mean, the Allied powers are helping them draw the lines, but for the most part, it's these different ethnic groups. We've looked at this map before, and Austria was full of different ethnic groups, and the hard part about this is that a lot of the times the ethnic groups overlap with one another. Sometimes they get along great, other times they don't get along at all. So this was a major problem, because it's kind of easy to say like, hey, all of you look the same, act the same, talk the same, okay, y'all go live over here. Oh, you have a little group over there, well, you're going to get annexed to another country. And so it was very difficult. You're going to have certain little territories that are going to be ignored. And we're going to look on the next slide. It's going to start overlapping in these new countries. You're going to have two countries taking claim of one territory. And you're going to have these conflicting claims. Again, this is mostly the problem in Eastern Europe, because of all the different ethnic groups were spread out. None of them are concentrated. You can almost compare this to the 20th century, once a lot of similar things going to happen in Africa, when these African countries are just going to kind of get cookie cutter created. And the Europeans, when they're creating these countries in Africa, they don't take account of ethnic groups. I would say probably before the test you should go back and read this. I don't expect you to write all of this down today. Sammy, you have your Chrome or MacBook open. Google the dictact real quick to tell us what the dictact means.
The dictat is a statute, harsh penalty, or settlement imposed upon a defeat party by the victor.
Good. So it's like a harsh penalty that is inflicted on the, what word did you use? Afflicted by the victor onto the loser. So Germany looked and referred to this treaty as the diktat. I looked up another definition in it. It might say this, but it said that it's the victor was the loser was more like helpless. In the definition that they didn't have any say. And so the whole idea that Germany is taking full blame for the war is going to have a huge impact on their economy, because their economy after this is now so weak that only a small percentage can actually be paid back, because they don't have an economy anymore. because they can't pay this back, eventually it reaches the point that Germany just stops paying the reparations altogether. Because Germany stops paying the reparations altogether, French and Belgian forces are going to start occupying the most heavily industrialized parts of Germany. You got it, Charles. So essentially what happens is Germany can't pay the war reparations. They stop paying the war reparations. So then Belgium and France go in and take over the only area of their country that they can make money from. The Treaty of St. Marin, again, it's one of those treaties, but this is with Austria. Why did it just split from St. Germain to Tryon? I did not know. Treaty of
Teachers and students, please pardon the interruption. We're going to go ahead and do the moment of silence and the pledge. So if you don't mind, moment of silence.